Go live. It's Tuesday, October 26th, 2021. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight we are talking about Splitgate, its Portal, and an FPS deathmatchy game. All right. So, right around the beginning of quarantine, when we had to record Geek Nights remotely, like fully remotely, as opposed to doing it in person, I didn't have like all the kind of equipment I needed, so I kind of just made do. But I eventually bought that backdrop, and I got better lighting, and I could sort of set everything up to do this pretty permanently. One of the things I bought way back then was the shittiest possible LED USB-powered ring light, like the $8 one that was just on Amazon, like some
That's
crap
what I
over
got right here. That's making my face look like, the white sun.
That's what I got pointing at me right here. I used to use it over the webcam, but over time I moved it to the side, and because I rearranged the lighting.
Mine has a thing for the webcam to go in the middle of it, so it's actually ring lighting properly.
Mine has that too, but I sit far enough away from my webcam, and I'm lit from different angles anyway, to where it's kind of moot. So I moved it to the side to be like the spotlight.
Also, the Earth is tilting backwards to the incorrect position, so it's getting dark now.
Yep.
Right. Whereas normally it would not be dark right now.
Oh, if it weren't for the rainstorm and everything, I often have to worry about the sun comes directly in about 3/4 of the way through Geek Nights.
Yes, because of the time of year also with my south-facing window, right? It's like late in the day. If it's not cloudy, this is the time of year where the sun just comes right in the window. It's like,
Yeah.
why don't you, if you're going to shoot me in the face with your bright lights, the part of you that I hate, at least make it warm, the part of you that I enjoy. Nope. Cold and sun in your face. That's the worst combo.
Right? So today, that ring light, the switch mechanism that controls all of its options just broke, and it's stuck permanently on.
Can't you just unplug it and plug it in?
Oh, yeah, I can unplug it and plug it in. But because I was using that little control box, I actually have the USB. It's not plugged into my computer because I'm just powering it. It's actually run all the way down behind my desk and plugged into my power strip, because my power strip, which is mounted to my desk, has a line of USB power slots.
It's actually, so the outlets in this apartment, like a handful of them have USB in the outlet. And I tested it, and they totally work. And there's two of them happen to be behind my desk, and the ring light is one of the only things to use those because I don't trust them that much.
Yeah, I bought power strips that I can actually screwed them to the bottom of my desk, so I can keep all the cables out of the way.
I got the cage thingy. Yeah,
I'm gonna get a cage too, I think. Anyway, so right now all day this ring light's been permanently on unless I climb back there and unplug it. So I just ordered a new, much better solution. I'm just going to throw this thing away because it's falling apart in other ways too. The clamp is starting to not clamp that well.
The clamps.
Yeah, these clamps that I've been using to clamp this ring light for 2 years. That clamp. So in some news that I was about to say only Rim cares about, but apparently other people care, Advance Wars, the coming remake, which remember is counting U.S. releases, because there's a bunch of Advance Wars in Japan that honestly we do not need here in the U.S. They are categorically inferior to the Advance Wars.
I've tried to play a lot of those Famicom Wars, Game Boy Wars.
They're just not as good. Like the newer ones.
Using my emulation and such, and pretty much anything older than Advance Wars 1, it's like you really don't need to play.
They're just not as good. Like, they're just, imagine a game that's just less fun and less polished. Like, that's what it is.
It's a turn-based game, but it's, you don't need to play it.
If you want to play what those old ones are like, play, oh God, what was it called? Like Desert Commander or something on the NES?
It's basically the same. It's basically the same series, I think.
Yep. So anyway, this is Advance Wars 1 and 2, which were the first two Advance Wars that we got in the US for real. And they were both fantastic games that are very different from each other, but neither one replaces the other. They are both good on their own, and they're both worth playing independently of each other. They're getting this remake. They're being remastered and remade just to work on the Switch. That whole project is delayed. They're launching in like Q2 2022 now.
Okay.
It's probably good because I actually plan to stream these games heavily. I even set up like the pipeline and the video capture to do it from the Switch. But I don't really have time for that shit right now, so it's kind of good that I got some delay before I start streaming these games.
So apparently Desert Commander in Japan, known as Desert Fox Tank Strategy, does look a lot like Famicom Wars. However, it is not in the same series as Famicom Wars and not made by the same company or anything.
What's fascinating is they're almost identical games, but what I would say is that game feels very similar to the first two Game Boy Advance Wars that never made it to the US, just in how they play and the kinds of strategies you employ. They also have all of them had super broken APCs. But yeah, this game's just delayed significantly, and like I said, I'm pretty fine with that.
There was a Super Famicom Wars for the SNES that might be worth playing, that one.
Ooh,
possibly.
I've never tried that one. I tried the Game Boy ones and a couple other ones. I never played one that was an SNES. Now I'm a little curious. So anyway, in some other slightly bigger news, as you know, Activision Blizzard is a troubled company filled with a significant number of dangerous people. We've talked about this. You can read about it. Activision Blizzard is not unique in this regard. Very similar stories have happened about Ubisoft, and almost pretty much every AAA studio has stories like this, though Blizzard and Ubisoft seem to have the most egregious of them that we know of that I'm remembering recently. The bar's low is what I'm saying for AAA studios. So in that backdrop, despite the fact that Blizzard stock is way up because Call of Duty is selling fine and like none of this stuff seems to have impacted game sales at all, they are canceling BlizzCon like completely. They issued a statement saying that there's no future date planned. They're not rescheduling it. It's just canceled, and they're going to reinvent what BlizzCon is before it returns.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not a surprise because what was BlizzCon, right? BlizzCon was just a very few things, right? It was an esports event, right? And a lot of their esports action has taken a hit. And even when their drama was barely starting, right? A lot of the people that were getting laid off there were esports people.
Yep.
Right?
Or people were just quitting who were the ones who were instrumental in the success of their esports up to that point.
Other than Overwatch League, it really feels like, that esports as a whole over there has sort of, been neglected compared to, it's not like they're not doing it anymore, but they used to be all in on it and they've been less so.
Yep. I have anecdata. Now, full disclosure, this is an anecdata of one person and my very limited feed. But what I can say is that in my just media feeds over the last year or so, how often Hearthstone was talked about went from this baseline level of there'd be some chatter on a nearly daily basis to I never see anyone talking about Hearthstone anymore.
That's because I was playing it and then I stopped playing it, and that's why the amount you heard about it went down.
Yeah, but you were not the only person I followed who would talk about Hearthstone, to be clear.
Anyway.
But I do think that is a factor.
That's probably the most significant factor. Anyway,
Mitchie D would talk about it pretty often, too.
The other thing BlizzCon is for basically announcing your shit with your, panels, right? But the only thing they got coming is like Diablo 4.
Yeah.
B,
didn't Call of Duty or not Call of Duty? What did they just relaunched a bunch of stuff because Activision Blizzard is one big umbrella. Even though BlizzCon was focused on the Blizzard properties,
so many people, a lot of their stuff is getting delayed, not coming, so they don't have as much to announce. And a lot of the people who are probably involved in the running of BlizzCon, right? It's losing people, disrupted probably, the event itself. So it's like, why spend all the money to have this thing? Plus, pandemic's not right?
Yep.
Even if it's online only.
So imagine it was troubled.
There's no purpose to this event, right? Let's just, let's not spend our money on nothing. And come back and, if we're going to have a convention for our because not every company has their own convention. There's no Ubisoft Con that I'm aware of.
A lot of companies have a game-specific event, usually because of esports, or because it's a very, very well-known property.
QuakeCon, does that still exist?
I assume so. I mean, I only go to PAXs and MagFests, so
I don't know,
what do I know?
I don't know anything.
But or like they'll either use existing generic gaming conferences, they'll have a game specific thing, usually around an esport, but like the franchise company type event, I feel like the Nintendo Direct is how you do that in the modern world, or the Tim Apple like roadshow is how you do that in the modern world.
Yeah, Blizzard, as to my knowledge, I've never seen them do that. So it's like they could just have an Activision Blizzard Direct equivalent where they come out with a fancy, keynote type video every once in a while to announce their new shit, on a regular basis. And that marketing strategy seems to work, actually. And you know what? I actually kind of like that marketing strategy, even though I hate ads, right? Because it's not an ad that comes and interrupts you, right? It's not an ad that's on something. Like
it's an ad that I seek out. I go to Tim Apple and I say, Tim, tell me about your shit.
Right, exactly. It's like, it's an ad, but it is in no way intrudes into your life in any way unless you purposefully go to watch it. They don't try to show it, they don't try to shove it at you in any way. And as an ad, it's not like a car ad that's trying to use psychology and, repetition and all the advertising marketing techniques to like get in your head. All of those, right? The Apple ones, with their magical, life-changing, get an Apple Watch so you don't die stuff. They do a little bit of that.
But even then, at least I'm there. Like, yes, I do want to know what's up with Apple. Like, sell it to me.
Right. But it's mostly just, here are our new products. Here's what they do. You didn't even have to watch this. You could have just read an article summary afterwards, right? The end. And we're going to do this again when we have more products to announce. And if you don't care about our products, you wouldn't be even watching this right now in the first place.
Yep.
So it's like, if you're a company, it's like, and even if I had my way, ban all ads on Earth, companies still need to announce their products somehow, right? Like, if you make something, you need to tell everyone, hey, I made this thing, it's for sale.
But you know what this is? Right. This is one hand, old style advertising that was, in the early days before people did it the way they do it today. It was often just, here's a product. It almost reads like a press release. Here are all of its features. Here's its price. Here's how to find out more.
Right. A Nintendo Direct is literally just like, here are the games coming out soon. Let us show you them.
Yep.
This one. Also this one.
But I think another thing that happens here, like especially with an event like BlizzCon, gaming events like this tend to, once they get going, like it's hard to start a new one. But once you got one going, momentum almost just can carry it forward with surprisingly little surprise or additional cost. Like the incremental cost of making another PAX or another BlizzCon is so little compared to the cost of making the first one that it's easy to just keep going. But that also means
you have attendance, right? It's like getting the attendance is hard, but once you have attendance, it's like, let's say you get an event and 1,000 people show up. Mm-hmm. You have close to 1,000 people who, if you have that event again next year, will show up.
Yep, and but you also need, it can't just be the attendance. You also have the production pipeline, like the system and bureaucracy that causes the event to actually occur. Because some events have attendance and not logistics, and that is how you get like a DashCon.
Right. Well, we talk about that all the time with just anything that you want to do, right, in the world. It's like you can do a thing by hand and handcraft a thing, but then that's it. You did it once. You can alternatively create a machine that makes the thing. If you build a machine that runs a convention, that convention is just going to keep happening, right? If you, on your own, make a convention happen with your will, you might do it. You can't repeat that without hurting yourself.
Yep.
Right?
In fact, we low-key would hurt ourselves dealing with the lack of logistics at certain conventions in the past before we...
Right. If you want to make a movie, it's like, yeah, you could grab a camera and your friends and sweat blood and tears and make a movie. A lot of people have done it. But if you make a movie studio, it will just... you get it off the ground, which is the hard part, right? It'll just keep making movies.
Yep.
As long as it makes a successful movie, it'll make another one. It'll just keep getting, contracts to make more movies.
It's that very powerful idea that the most valuable thing you can make is the machine that makes the machine, not the machine itself. But the other thing that happens is once that ball's rolling, it has that momentum. So if you want to change something significant about your event, the risks are nearly infinite. Imagine if PAX wanted to like radically change some aspect of PAX. Just imagine like how will the attendees react? How will the logistics go? Who do we need to involve? We have less than a year to make this change because the last PAX just happened. So this is the perfect...
Blizzard had a machine that made BlizzCons, and they intentionally turned it off, at least temporarily, and we'll see what comes of that.
But it's the perfect time to do that if you're a company and all these, like a convention can't survive multiple separate disasters simultaneously. There's so many things that make BlizzCon a bad idea. It's literally the perfect time to just pause long enough to take that machine and try to rework it. So we'll see what comes of it. We'll also see what comes of the ongoing litigation around Activision Blizzard. And I cannot stress enough, don't pretend that this is the only bad guy company out there. All these AAA game studios are like
Every
this.
single one of them is the same, right? Is it a AAA? Is it a company that makes AAA games? Yes. Then I assume it is guilty of all the same crimes as Activision Blizzard.
Yep. So got a little news here. I don't know why this was news, but it popped up in my feed from 2 different sources. So I thought this was funny. Multiple sources have confirmed that you can't use, quote, rumble packs or other accessories, unquote, with the new Switch-compatible N64 wireless controller.
That makes no sense because the N64 wireless controller so just so people are aware of what this is, right? So if you get a Switch, you get Joy-Cons, or you can buy a Switch Pro controller, or you can buy a third-party controller, right? Or those are pretty much your options. But if you pay for Nintendo Switch online service, right, you get those NES, SNES, and now if you pay even more, N64 games. So they will sell you, if you have the service already, they will sell you an NES controller. I have one. And it's literally just a wireless NES controller, just like the ones from back in the day, but it works with your Switch with Bluetooth immediately and perfectly, and you can pretty much use it for the NES game thing, right? It's not too useful. You could try to play a Switch game with it, but it doesn't have enough buttons. And they also sell a Super Nintendo one that does the same thing. And now they sell an N64 one that does the same thing. It's an N64 controller, except it's wireless and works with the Switch. It's sold separately. There you go. Why would you want to use a Rumble pack with it when it has Rumble built in? It's a modern controller. It has its own fucking Rumble. It doesn't need a Rumble pack.
And if you didn't think that was obvious, why would Nintendo in the year 2021 manufacture a new controller that didn't just use a standard Rumble pack built into it?
And why would they bother to go through the hassle of making it compatible with Rumble packs from the late 90s when almost no one fucking has one of those things?
Never mind. What the fuck else do you think you're going to plug into that thing?
And if it didn't have Rumble in it and it required people to get a Rumble pack and they weren't manufacturing new Rumble packs, who the fuck would go? There'd be a run on old Rumble packs. Who the fuck would go and get those?
But like, what are you gonna plug? Are you gonna plug that like weird memory card into it, thinking you can transfer a save game from the Switch port and like a real N64? Like, what does anyone involved in these stories think was going to happen?
Someone just asked a really foolish question. It's like, if you really want to use an N64 controller to play the games on the Switch, the N64 games, go ahead and buy this thing, because that's what it does.
Yeah.
And just don't ask nonsense questions.
I love how the first comment on this article is, I was hoping to have double Rumble.
Double Rumble? Okay. I could go with that, but if you want double Rumble, just get the Res, the famous Res thing.
Yep. And one last little news. So the new Switch, the OLED Switch came out, and so far it seems like outside of Japan it's not actually selling that well. Probably because everyone who wanted a Switch already has a Switch that works fine, is my guess.
Yeah, I mean, and even so, a lot of people who might buy a Switch, right, will go to the store, look at the Switches, and if you're not like a nerd, what do you care fucking OLED for it's extra money, right? And you can't fucking tell the difference unless you're a huge nerd who knows what OLED is.
Yep.
So if you're giving it to a kid, why the fuck would you pay for the OLED one?
Yeah.
It still doesn't the old one is still there. So, it's for the OLED one to eat into sales of the old one, you need people who broke a Switch. Like if my Switch broke, I'd probably buy the OLED one, right? But most people, who knows?
But I think
extreme nerds who care a lot and use their Switch a lot and are way into it will like upgrade to that new one.
Yeah, but like Nintendo's stock was down a little, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is a miss from Nintendo," or like, "Hey, turns out people didn't care about the OLED," and everyone's forgetting they did not. Like Nintendo very clearly did not make this as like an upgrade to an existing perfectly good Switch.
Right. It's not a fumble like with the new 3DS where like there were hardly any games.
Yep.
Right?
This is just more like, all right, we're going to use a better, more modern production pipeline to make an incrementally better product instead of maintaining the pipeline that made the old one. They're probably either saving money or have better margins. There's a lot of reasons why they manufacture this.
Yeah, hardware has chipped, new chips are out, the world has changed. These parts are cheaper, right? It's, let's make this, let's change our stuff at the factory, and we're going to have to produce Switches differently for reasons at factories. So now we're producing this Switch instead. Hey, let's take advantage of that and market it as an upgraded thing because we're using a different screen in there.
Yep.
It's not like they went out and they said, this is our strategy to make more money. We're going to make this OLED Switch. Yeah, that wasn't the start of the, right? That was the...
If anything, I think it speaks to Nintendo's strength that they are committing to a long lifespan for the extremely popular Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
So anyone who says this is bad news for Nintendo or for Nintendo gamers is probably the same kind of person who thought that this was going to be a 4K Switch.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we go on. But anyway, things of the day. So this is a video of a match between Peru and Alemania, so Germany. And this is the Balloon World Cup. If you've never played the game Balloon, it is one of the rare games. It's a sport, and it's a game and a sport that has... It's one of the rare instances of having absolutely perfect rules where I would change nothing. It is a game where you have two people.
And everyone just knows the rules as soon as they're born.
Yeah, like every kid plays this.
You don't even need to be told the rules. You just know them.
You can, in fact, if you watch this video, I defy you to make it more than 5 let's see exactly, because including every possible edge case, you will not make it more than 3 seconds into this video without knowing literally every rule to this game. The game is, there's a balloon, not filled with helium, just filled with regular old air, and you hit it. If it touches the ground before your opponent hits it, you win, or you get a point. And you just try to keep this balloon in the air as long as possible. This game is...
You alternate taking turns hitting the balloon.
Yep.
And I don't know what happens if it pops, as according to
I do also
rules.
not know what happens if it pops.
I could look it up, though.
The rule we used as kids was whoever touched it last loses if it pops.
Could be. It's an okay, acceptable rule.
Yep. The other rule that might not be super obvious is you can't interfere with the other person.
Yeah, but it's not a contact sport.
Yep. But you can hit this thing anywhere.
Yeah, sure.
So I would love to see this just straight up be the Omegathon finale.
I guess you also can't like grab the balloon, right? You have to strike it.
Well, I mean, volleyball has rules like that. A lot of sports have rules where you can't carry, even tennis, you can't carry the ball in your racket.
Yeah.
Even though that is a...
Basketball pretends to have rules like that.
I will
Soccer
admit,
does too.
I'm going to admit right now, I have cheated a little bit at ping pong in the past. I was real good at doing a carry so fast that no one could see that's what I did.
I think if you went to real ping pong, you would be.
Oh, yeah, they would catch me. But like at a bar or something, no one would ever see that.
Yeah, drunken people, no. Not that, like, would that even help you, though, at ping pong?
Yeah, because what I can do, if especially it works against someone who's moving slow, is I can basically swing the racket around to catch the ball, push it forward, but while it's still in contact, rotate, and then push it down.
Mm-hmm.
I basically do almost a straight down slam that doesn't look like it's going to be a slam till the last second. It's of dubious legality.
Anyway.
So what do you got?
What do I have? So we may have used this YouTube channel before as a thing of the day. They have lots of experts in various things and ask them questions, right? Or have Twitter come and ask them questions. I think there was like a CIA guy on there sometime or something, right? However, a video appeared thanks to YouTube recommendations from, this Wired, tech support channel. And this time, the expert person was a poison expert. And it's like, whoa, I actually going to find out for real about poison.
Ooh.
And yeah, you find out for real about poison. Some of the information is sort of obvious and basic stuff that isn't that fascinating. But some of the information is very fascinating. And there were also many myths debunked or bunked. I guess would be the opposite term. So, I guess watching this video, you could, I guess, if you're very unlucky, this information in this video could help you or someone nearby you survive poisoning. Or fall to poisoning. Please don't poison anybody for real, but don't joke about poisoning people like I do.
Yep.
Never actually poison anybody.
Yeah, stay away when a weird girl tries to give you shaved ice as well. So
one spoiler, I guess, is this person did answer one question exactly the same way I would have answered it. They were asked effectively, the question was, how do I tell the poison mushroom from the real mushroom? And my brain started saying, if it's at the grocery store.
Yep.
Right. And then the woman said in the video is like, if it's at the grocery store, it's a safe mushroom to eat. Otherwise, don't eat it.
Did I say this on Geek Nights or just say it to you? But when we were hiking, me and Emily were hiking a few weeks ago, we passed a couple arguing in Russian, and the dude was holding up a big mushroom that he'd clearly picked, and it looked like he was arguing that they could eat it, and the woman was arguing with him that is a terrible idea and trying to get him to throw it away.
That's do not eat the mushroom. Oh my God. Is that mushroom from the grocery store? No. And should you eat the mushroom? Those questions have the same answer at all times.
Yep. I'm glad there are people who exist who we trust to do this for grocery stores, because there is no amount of research, study, and training I would do where I would personally eat a mushroom I picked under any circumstances.
Well, the mushrooms at the grocery store are not harvested from the forest. Right?
Some of them are.
At least not where you live, not where here, right? They're from a mushroom growing place.
No, a lot more mushrooms than you expect. Not like creminis or anything, but like, I get a lot of mushrooms from Fresh Direct and from the grocery store that are foraged.
How do you know?
They're specifically foraged. A lot of mushrooms can't be grown in mushroom groweries. I don't know what the term is for that kind of place.
That doesn't
mushroom
seem
farm.
possible.
Figure out a way. There are a lot. There was just a SciShow episode on this, like a few months ago, talking about all the unfarmables. That basically there are a bunch of foods. Many of them are mushrooms. You could be infinitely rich if you could figure out how to grow these as opposed to foraging them.
Just take one that already exists and shit all its spores all over some dirt.
Oh, yeah, guess what? Turns out that doesn't work. Some of these only grow on a particular kind of tree that's beyond a certain age that only grows in certain soil and weird crap like that.
So get that tree in that soil and buy that land.
Oh, yeah. If it were that easy, a lot of these things would be a lot cheaper, but they're not.
All right,
Anyway, I do not trust mushrooms foraged by anyone other than an expert via a large commercial pipeline with lots of liability involved.
Yeah, poison is cool. Let's move on.
So, in the meta moment, the Geek Nights Book Club book, which I have paused to read the first volume of a manga. Stay tuned. But the Tale of Genji, as Genji just continues to sleepwalk and or fuck his way through life. It's the first novel.
Say that same thing every time there.
I mean, unless we talk about specific instances of it, which we should save for the book club book episode.
I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to basically, as I'm reading, I'm trying to take a note, just like, there's 50-something chapters.
Yep.
I'm basically trying to write like one sentence for each chapter.
That's a real good idea for a book like this. Like, that's where the ghost killed a girl. That's where he had sex with the wrong woman. That's the other time he had sex with the wrong woman. That's the time.
So-and-so died. That's where a bunch of people died.
Yep. But otherwise, our last panel is still just on YouTube. It's our game design. It'll always be on YouTube, but I guess you should watch it because we spent a lot of time making it. Stay tuned for, I guess, Q2 2022 when I'll start streaming Advance Wars. And we found someone to help us build our website. So if you were thinking about applying to that job, you can hold off for the time being, unless things go horribly wrong in the near future.
I guess that's not impossible, but it doesn't seem likely. We're going to make some progress here. I actually, if you go to, you can proof that I've worked on this, right? You can go to beta.frontrowcrew.com and you'll see the words beta.frontrowcrew.com there. Which I know isn't exciting, but there is actually
there it is.
Yeah, there is actually a complex back end of technology with databases and such and whatnot behind that single tiny HTML file. So progress has been made.
Wait, I'm gonna break the law in red states. I'm gonna view page source. Oh, look at that, some HTML.
Yeah, and if you go to newsletter.frontrowcrew.com, there is a live new newsletter platform. I switched us over from Tiny Letter, and I'll finish writing a newsletter at some point. Who knows? This year?
Scott writes good newsletters.
A year?
Yeah.
Never? But I just move it over to a new platform and then never use it?
Hey, but every now and then one comes out, and they're always good.
But it's live. There's a thing. I did that. I did something.
Yeah.
That wasn't shit talk. I successfully moved it to a new platform, so
let's get right into it. Splitgate is basically a free-to-play, multiplayer, first-person shooter, deathmatch plus, because it has a lot of modes, crossed with Portal, the game, where you can throw two portals anywhere in the world with constraints and just move between them.
Yep. So when Portal, the game, came out in a long time ago already.
Orange box?
Yeah. When that game came out, everyone, the obvious thought was
2007. GeekNights had been running for less than 2 years when Portal came out.
The same year the Wii came out, basically. So when that came out, the obvious thought was, obviously you're going to make a multiplayer FPS where everyone also has a portal gun and a gun.
That's all I wanted.
That's such a brain dead thing, right? Because Portal and Portal 2 were obviously just puzzle platform FPSs with no gun, no shooting and killing, really. And they even teased heavily that Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 2 episode 2, 3, whatever it was going to be, 3, I get the episode that never came out. It was heavily implied that would be a single player FPS where you had a portal gun, presumably also the gravity gun and guns, right?
And you have a good time.
Of course, that never came to be, and probably will never come to be. So this obvious idea for an amazing multiplayer game was just out there for free. Anyone could do it at any time. I believe there may have been prior attempts to do it, but until now, with the release of Splitgate, no one has. This is like the biggest, most for real attempt there has been. It is a multiplayer FPS where you have the portal gun and you have guns.
Yep.
And you shoot the other team.
Now, part of this might have been that the technology that drove Portal did not scale well to multiple players. Like, it was designed.
It could have been done. There had to be.
I think it would have been a significant rewrite to make that happen.
Regardless.
The other thing is, Portal, like the portals themselves were, while the technology that made that happen were cool, the real magic of Portal was the insane amount of detail that went into the puzzles and the environments to make the portals fun and interesting. And I just imagine the game design challenge of making it that polished for the multiplayer experience, especially a deathmatchy multiplayer experience.
You never need to make it, I think that's the flawed thinking, right? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good enough, right? It's like you could have just taken fucking Quake Deathmatch, not changed a damn thing other than, there's a portal gun now in addition to the other guns.
And then just watch how people play it and see what happens and iterate from there.
Just fucking go for it, right? It's like, come on.
I mean, how did Quake Deathmatch evolve? They just made it, they threw it out there, and then they iterated on it as people fucked with it and enjoyed it.
Right. So Splitgate, what's the deal with Splitgate? So in Splitgate, the portal gun, the most important part, the way it works is you have two different buttons for the two different portals, right? Just like regular Portal. There are only some surfaces you can put them on, just like regular Portal. You can see through the portal to the other side only if it's your portal. You can't see through other people's portals, but you can walk through them, assuming they're linked up and not just a half portal with no other end to them.
Yep, like you can throw one of your portals somewhere and then just not throw the other one until you're ready.
Yeah, or someone could erase one end. We'll talk about that. You can walk through the portal. You can shoot through the portal, even if it's not yours. You can shoot through it. You might not be able to see what the hell you're shooting on the other side. You might be wasting ammo, but you can shoot through it. And so, for example, you could put one of your portals like way high up in the level and put another one in a tiny room where you're hiding. And now you can snipe at the whole level from a tiny room. And if someone wants to shoot you, they can come find you, or they can just shoot in this portal that's prominently above the whole level and that they can see bullets coming out of.
And that you're probably standing right in front of. Your head's just right there.
Yeah, if they shoot at the portal, they're going to hit you. It's so it's not the great, it's works, but it's not some, unbeatable camping strat, right? And then, as I mentioned, you can get rid of portals. There's a grenade you have, and the grenade doesn't hurt anybody, sadly. But if you throw a grenade at a portal, whether it's yours or someone else's, it erases it.
And you can really wing these things. Like, you can wing that grenade all across the map.
Yeah, kind of. A little bit. But, it's like if someone's running away from you and there's a portal, they're running towards the portal, just throw the grenade, they'll just bump into the wall, and then you shoot them, right? That kind of thing happens.
Yep. So, this game is pretty fun. Like, we've been playing it. Not a ton, but we've been playing it. And it, like Scott said, it's not perfect, but it does what we thought it would do. It is an FPS where you're just doing multiplayer competitive with a million different modes with portals. Mm-hmm. But
you have a little jetpack. It's not like the Tribe's jetpack, but it's a little like a double jump. It's like double jump plus, right? So that's.
But
nice.
That's not in every mode either. The game. The interesting thing about this game is that it has a million modes. Like,
I think
way more modes.
I think rather than try to figure out which mode was the best mode, they're just like, let's put in all the modes, right? Let people vote and decide which mode they want to play.
Well, you know the story behind this game? Because I think it's 1047 Games. Like, it's a pretty small shop. They made the original game with no funding, just like by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put a demo out. It started, like, people liked it. They announced actually over the summer that it was going to be indefinitely in a beta state, and they're basically tweaking it constantly as far as we can see even now. Like, there's a significant update that like just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
it definitely feels like it's sort of in that Rocket League category. It's obviously not as popular and big as Rocket League, and I don't think it's as fresh and amazing as Rocket League, so I don't know if it deserves that amount of popularity, but it's that, multiplayer competitive game that has some uniqueness and isn't AAA amazingness, but if you load it up and start playing it, it's like, wow, this is a really polished, kind of game here. It's really got something going on.
I guess it's almost got too much going on that isn't the game itself. So this game is a modern game, meaning it has a ton of cosmetic crap. It has all these different ways to level up your character and your stats and all this nonsense. Yep. It has quick play and competitive and a million modes. But whereas AAA first-person shooters tend to refine those down to like a limited number of ladders and a limited number of modes, this is still just a proliferation of a million things. And two, it is free to play. Completely free. You can just play it. And as far as I can see, there's nothing you have to pay for that matters.
Yeah, it's not pay to win, so that's good. If it was, I wouldn't play it.
Not at all. Wouldn't have even considered touching it.
But if you want to pay, there are a lot of ways you can give them money. I haven't even looked at how many different currencies and different ways you can earn points and XPs and currencies and things. And you can spend them on getting skins for your character, for your guns, all kinds of things that you can skin up all over the place.
Yep.
So much cosmetic microtransactions. You're just like, it's like Team Fortress 2 with the hats, right?
Yep. Like, it got to the point to where I consciously decided I won't even click on that stuff because clicking around it was almost too confusing. Like, there's just so much in there that
half of the main menu screen, like almost all the buttons on there have something to do with rewards or XP or skins or
oh my god, every time we finish a match, it's like, you got 3 achievements. Here's 3 different like meters that all filled up. Here's 4 different sets of stats.
Next, play again, right? I'm ignoring all that biz.
Yep.
I kept myself in the default skin. I did try to figure out enough just to collect XP rewards, because this is the annoying thing about this, right? Is that there's XP obviously, which is like your ranking, right? How good you are, you're used for matchmaking, and like most games, that's separate from XP you just always get for playing. And the XP you always get for playing, it doesn't unlock anything that helps you win, but it does unlock more game modes. You can't just load this up for the first time and immediately play a competitive match in certain modes, right? You have to play enough, and you just get the free XP just by playing. You know, spending money. I don't know if you can even buy XP. Maybe you can, probably. I don't know. But there are certain modes you won't be able to play until you've played enough.
Yep.
And then you can play.
Game designers, I beg you, stop doing that.
Yep.
Just stop it. I cannot deal with. Even Smash was annoying that I had to do something to get all the basic
all the
characters.
It's like, I don't need that. Right?
You can have your other unlocking, like all the other like weird modes where people are going to collect 1 million Miis and hats and things. Like, sure, whatever, but don't gate core game behind arbitrary leveling, and especially not pay-to-win type stuff.
Yeah, I recently got to level 10, and I think that basically unlocked almost all the things for me. I can now like choose all the game modes and stuff, which I couldn't do before.
Yep.
So I think level 10 is where you get everything. So, and there is a gacha thing where like you can get crates or like gift boxes or something and open those up, and there's skins and shit.
They take so long to open.
I haven't even tried to open.
I went to open one. You have to like do this portal thing for each one. It takes minimum like 15 or 20 seconds to open each one.
Oh, but yeah, I basically just did what you were doing with Overwatch. I haven't opened any of them. I get them and I don't open them. You know, but I mean, I think that's a common thing that games with loot boxes or crates do, because they're trying to emulate the feeling, you know, you get from opening like a pack of baseball cards and like being amazed. And, you know, even if you're getting ones you already have, right, it's still this up and down emotional casino-like roller coaster.
And while I'd say the market is...
So that's why you don't want to make it an instant process. A computer could just instantly do it, right? It's you want to have an animation and a presentation of like, you're opening the thing, what's inside? First up, this skin.
Case in point,
this skin you already have.
When I did the charity stream...
A moldy old piece of bubble gum that you're not going to eat.
When I did that charity stream, because you all donated a ton of money to the Democrats, and I agreed to open every one of those fucking loot boxes I had in Overwatch live on stream, it took hours, and at one point I just left a book propped on my spacebar and walked away.
Yep.
But on one hand, it feels like gaming is so saturated with this stuff that it would lose all of its power, to the point that if I even see a loot box in any game, I almost like... I have this opposite reaction of I don't want to engage with it because I just feel annoyed that it even exists. I'm so used to it being everywhere. But on the other hand,
if all of gaming, tabletop, video game, everything, right, was only the kind of games that we like, you know, competitive skill games, there would just the number of people, the size of the gaming industry as a whole would be like this tiny fraction of what it is now. Like,
but we can have lots of fun games in this broad ecosystem that are not that, but they shouldn't have to all have the same fucking addictive gotcha mechanic in them.
Right. So let's, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the actual game. Splitgate,
there's too many modes to talk about all of them, but we can talk a lot about...
I don't even know all the modes because I didn't unlock them all. But
so first things first, there's a small number of weapons, and there doesn't appear to be significant, like, spread. Like it's a lot like older FPSs.
It doesn't feel like there's spread. It feels very Halo-y.
You can just click on heads from across the map and it pretty much just works.
Yeah. For example, we can't determine whether a sniper rifle is more accurate when you zoom in, or if zooming in just lets you zoom in.
I find I was getting more kills, and also I was more effective with the sniper rifle if I never zoomed in.
Because you save the time. Sometimes you save the time not having to zoom, but sometimes the guy's really far away. So you zoom. Right. So that's, you know, the sniper rifle basically kills in one shot. There is, my favorite weapon is the plasma rifle, which is a lot like the one from Doom.
I like that, the assault rifle, the AR.
It's okay. It's pretty good. That's
a headshot machine.
That I barely ever get to use. There's a nice like 3-round burst kind of, you know, rifle that you can get.
Yep. But the fun part about these weapons is they're very old style FPS, and it's sort of just like hit scan, like click, and it happens. But you have very limited ammo in most modes, so you're not just spraying all the time.
Some of the modes you basically can keep getting more weapons.
Yep.
And if you die, you get ammo again and weapons again, so it's not a big deal. But if you're not dying a lot, if you're living a long time, then ammo can become a concern because you fired it all.
But the way damage works, and again, we're generalizing a lot because every mode has a lot of like very specific changes. Some of them are radically different from other modes, but generally, if you get shot, you don't die. It's like the modern FPS construct of a cooldown, where you get hit, you take damage, and if you take enough damage in a short enough span of time, you die. So if you're under fire...
it doesn't take a lot, right? A headshot from a sniper rifle will kill you. The assault rifle, okay, digga, you're dead, right?
But if you like tag someone a couple times from a distance with like the SMG, they might make it to cover before you tag them the last time that actually finishes them off.
And then they'll get their health back eventually. Yep. But some sort of like automatic, there's no health packs or anything. There's no healing, med kits, bandages. It's like if you're not in a fight, if you run away successfully, you go through a portal, you use your jetpack, you just get away, your health will just sort of come back, and then you'll be good.
I like this a lot for this game in particular, because if you have a game like Overwatch, a game like a team-based like FPS that's more goal-oriented and more focused, the concept of health that runs out and needs to be refilled is a way to control the ebb and flow of like the game and like offensive, defensive zones and that kind of thing. Old school FPSs would have the health as this is a finite resource you have to manage. The more damage you take, the more likely it is to die. The way Splitgate does this specifically gives you this very specific feeling. In a movie or you play certain FPSs where suddenly you come under fire from a sniper and there's that moment where you're trying to figure out where the sniper's coming from, like where are they? That feeling happens constantly in this game. You're doing your thing and you get tagged. You've got like 2 seconds, maybe less, to figure out where that shot came from or you're dead. So the game is a lot of run and gun, cover your friend while they run to cover, put a portal somewhere to cover yourself from behind, figure out where the sniper is, figure out how to corner them. It's a feeling that I rarely get in competitive FPSs. Like PUBG, you can get that feeling sometimes, but this game is just that feeling distilled of taking fire, where's the sniper?
Yep. So let's talk just a few of the modes, right? So there's a shoddy sniper mode where just everyone has shoddy and sniper from the start. And then you have a close range weapon and a long range weapon. You have 2 teams. Just get to 50 kills, I think, to win.
Something like that.
For your team. I like the team game. It's almost all of them are team games. There's the ball one where there's a ball, and if you grab the ball, and as long as your team is holding the ball, your team is getting points.
We had an A+ strategy for that one. We'd get the ball, we'd all run into this tiny room on the one map we were playing, and we just hide in there with shotguns running in circles until the match ran out.
Yeah, they know where you are because there's like a little beacon on you.
Yeah, but it's like a blender of shotguns if they actually try to come in.
Yeah, well, and you can portal away if you have to, right?
Yep.
So there's that one. And if you when you're holding the ball, you can only do a melee attack with the ball, but it's a one-hit kill, so you can get a lot of kills with the ball. I got 5 ball kills on one map. What other modes are there? There's like regular, just deathmatchy kind of mode. There was a King of the Hill type mode where your team is a zone. You stand in the zone, and as long as only members of your team are in the zone and enemies are not standing in it, you're accumulating points. And then the zone moves occasionally.
Yeah.
It's like a King of the Hill thing. There's just all kinds of variants on team-based modes that aren't necessarily like, the catch of the flag style, right?
So in terms of the feel of like actually playing, the game is pretty slow in a good way. Like you don't move that fast. You can run.
It's not as fast as Quake, but it's a little faster than Counter-Strike, I'd say.
Oh yeah, it's definitely faster than Counter-Strike. And the portals are interesting because in our experience so far, there's like a good chunk of the player base barely uses the portals and just seems to play like an FPS. And then the other half of
it depends on a lot of things.
The map, the mode, your team, your own skill, how used to these portals you are, because they can be as disorienting as you expect them to be.
Right. Sometimes the portal can help you and not hurt you, or hurt you and not help you. And sometimes the map is just like, I want to use portals, but like there aren't any of you can only use them on certain surfaces. So it's like if they're not if there don't happen to be portal surfaces in the spot that's going to help you, it's like, just you have a jetpack and you have a gun. It's like, just go, right?
Yep. But like some people
with these portals,
we definitely see like barely use the portals, and you kind of just see where they are, portal behind them somewhere, and just shoot them, and that just works every time. 100% of the time, it just works.
So times the portals do work, right? Like I already discussed the portal camping scenario, right? Long range movement. So like sometimes on the big open maps, you can see a portal surface on the other side of the map, and you can just cross the entire map in a split second. That's very useful. Portal in like the ceiling, right? You can like put one up there and then like put one in the side, right? And then come down from the top, stuff like that to reach high up areas. Cause you can fall out the top one, you still have the jetpack, right? So you can reach some places with those. So you're chasing someone, right? So you could, for example, you can see through your own portals, but the enemy can't see through them. So you leave a portal somewhere, right? And then shoot one while you're running, run into the portal and turn around. Now you can see the enemy. If he's going to come through that portal, you see him coming at you. And he's looking at a black wall. He doesn't know what's on the other side. It's sort of like if you were just in a normal FPS running from someone, they would just slowly murder you from behind until you died. Here, you can use the portal as like a little break to be like, and turn around and shoot him, right? Which you couldn't do in Quake, really.
And watching some videos, I've seen people do really clever stuff when they're good at this game, like throw a portal down when someone's right behind them while they're running and the person falls into the portal.
Yeah, and if you put your other portal, say, above a pit of death.
Yeah.
Right? If they happen to walk across a portal surface floor and you make them fall into it, oopsie.
Yep, but I guess the end result of all this portal stuff is that there are three like very clear clades of players. There's the console players who just are terrible, like pretty much categorically. The people who are pretty good at like playing FPSs competently and using portals a little bit, like they use the portals, but not
that's
like
us.
Yeah, that's us. We're relying primarily on our FPS skills, and we're sort of using the portals as best we can. And then there's the people where the portal is their primary weapon. That is how they fight, and they are invincible gods to people like us.
Well, I think there's also people where they're just very good at FPSs, and they'll just this game is headshot central, so they're just clicking on heads. You basically never really see them. You just die if they see you, right? The end. So.
Yep. So there's such a wide gulf of skill and a wide gulf of how people play. Yet, to this game's credit, the three of us playing a bunch, just going into random quick play, like not really thinking about it that much. We're matched with people that are around our level. It's not like Star Wars where we are always matched against people who are infinitely better than us. Or
that's because there's no one else at our level playing Star Wars.
I think we are literally the worst players in Star Wars Squadrons.
Anyone worse than us is not playing.
Yeah, they've given up, or they've never heard of an X-wing.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that just clicking quick play and jumping into a game is pretty fun is a very high praise for a game like this, because it's very easy for an FPS.
Costs nothing. $0. It's a somewhat unique experience. If you've been playing all the other normal style FPSs, it's a little bit different.
To get good at the portals, though, you would have to play this game a lot and memorize maps, like for real.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I've memorized some of the maps a bit, but not to the extent where, like, I have this sort of like portal forethought or, whatever. Right?
Yeah, I'm mostly throwing portals either in a panic or very thoughtfully. Like, I see there's someone up there. I'm going to put a portal behind them.
Yeah, sometimes like that, and sometimes what I'll do is if I spawn and there's portal surfaces, I'll just put one portal there. And then when I'm out in the map, I'll just, if there's a situation, I'll throw out the second portal and then bail. Basically go back to the spawn instantly.
Yep.
Right. Just to have that place to go to.
The thing I like to do the most,
it is.
I've noticed you and me both are very non-dynamic with the portals. Like, I'll put one in a place that's good, like a sniping spot, or I'll put one way up, like behind myself somewhere. And then I put the second one in front of me on a wall near where I'm sniping. So I'm sniping from somewhere on the map, but I can look through the portal and see everything around me behind myself to see if anyone's sneaking up on me. And it's moderately effective.
Yeah, I tend to use the portals, because any FPS that's multiplayer, right, is sort of walk around, engage, right? There's the walk around part and the engage part. And I tend to be using the portals a lot during the walk around part. But once I'm in the engage part, I pretty much only am using portals that are like there already. I'm not like reaching for the portal gun while I'm engaging with the enemy. I'm reaching for the gun.
If I throw a portal while I'm engaging with the enemy, it's probably because I'm losing this fight and I'm trying to get away desperately.
Right. Or, I had somehow, the rare instance where I think of it in advance, I go to engage with portal intent already prepared, right? I don't have the instinct to, in the middle of a battle, be like, portal, go, right?
Though in our last game, I started doing something that this game facilitates that's real fun that I haven't done since like old multiplayer like Quake mod FPSs like that had grappling guns and stuff, where I started using portals chaotically just to move around unpredictably and quickly. Like I'm running, I just throw a portal to the side, I run further, I throw a portal somewhere else, I jump in it or I don't. I'm just throwing portals and jumping through them a lot to lose people or to obfuscate where I am or just to kind of randomize where I am. But I'm not thinking about where it'll leave me. I'm just thinking about creating chaos and reacting to what I see on the screen as a result of that chaos.
Yeah, it becomes very, if you start portaling in the middle of combat, it gets very disorienting. And yes, that can be used against you. You get disoriented and you die, but you can also use it to your advantage, disorient the enemy. Either you don't die or maybe you get really lucky and you kill them.
Yep, like I got real lucky once. I threw a portal.
To do that, right, but to do that with some sort of intent where like you planned it that way is next level. I will never reach that level.
Yeah, I got killed by someone where literally they like threw a portal and jumped off a ledge, and I go over the ledge to look down, and they fell through the portal, popped up out of a different portal into the air, and shot me from above. I am incapable of that kind of forethought in this game so far.
No. So yeah, if you are looking for an FPS that's different, and you don't want to pay to win, and you don't want to pay anything. I mean, if this game cost money just to play, like it was a $50 game, even if it didn't have any microtransactions, it was just a $50 game. I don't think I would say to pay $50, but for $0, and there's microtransaction bullshit, but
you can ignore them.
It's all skins. There's no pay to win. Try it out. See if you like it. If you like it, keep playing it. If you don't, delete it. But I think it's worth installing.
Well, you know what it feels like actually playing it? A lot like the early days of natural selection, in that the game was changing, not in terms of like the engagement and the style, but early NS was really rough around the edges, and they kept making changes to that game, like just constant evolution and changes. And this game feels like it's in that state where it'll keep getting updates, they'll keep refining it, and the people who are playing it will, like, how they engage with the game is going to drive how it evolves. So it's got a small enough player base to where you'll be able to sort of follow this game and grow. So if you like it, I bet by this time next year, it'll still be around. It might not be a runaway hit, but if it survives and is still around, I'll bet it'll evolve significantly and just be way better.
Well, now I just want to play natural selection again. So
I was trying to avoid that thought, but that thought came in as soon as I said those words.
I'm installing it right now. We'll see if anyone's still playing it.
NS2, I assume? You don't want to go all the way back?
I don't know. I don't think anyone's playing that.
Yeah. I miss, but with a lowercase m, the old days where matches were like an hour long and I would just build a wall of OCs.
If I could go back and play that game as it was right now, I would enjoy playing that game right now.
Building a wall of OCs and just hiding behind them, jumping around was fun, but also stupid.
To play NS1 right now if it was a full batch of players and whatnot. So.
God damn it, I am too. I feel like we're only going to be able to. I feel like playing Quake 1 is the closest to that nostalgic experience we can get right now.
But also, even if I were to play, NS2 right now, and there were players, they're probably just all going to come and like fade and chop my head off instantly, and I'm gonna be useless.
Yeah, we got to play with our people so we can all be bad together.
People,
I know.
People.
The eternal conundrum. If you want to play Splitgate with us, just hang out in the Discord. I'll totally play it with you because I enjoy it. I feel like I'll play it once or twice a week.
I'll play. I'm not like, this isn't a game that I'm actively like playing. Like I'm not sitting down and be like, oh, time to play Splitgate. But like, it's a game where like some friends are like, hey, let's play Splitgate. And I'm like, okay, I'll play it.
Like Overwatch, I play every day. Like I sit down, like it's Overwatch time. I'm not doing that with Splitgate, but me and the Scots will play this when we feel it.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever play Splitgate on my own on purpose.
Nah, but I would like to play not just with people I know on the same team, but against a team that is also people I know, because that is the purest, most fun in all FPSs, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I just think back to those LANs with Quake 1 at a Magfest where everyone is in the LAN, so all the opponents are in the same physical room as you. It's good biz. But yeah, Splitgate, super fun. It's worth playing. It'll cost you nothing but your time to try this thing out. It even runs on consoles, guys. Like, you can just play it.
The end.
Scott Johnson was the only person chatting in the live stream.